Dear son, there are a lot of things I meant to tell you before you grew up. I suppose by now you've learned some of them for yourself, but there are things you need to know and words you'll only learn from someone who knows you from the start. It's been a little over 13 years since I've seen my firstborn child.
I had done wrong, yes, but I had done nothing to lose my children.
When Corey was born, the world seemed to become a lot brighter. Look at him there. I didn't feel that I was neglectful at all, even though the dragon, the urge to use, was much more than the urge to stay home with my child. Corey's mother and myself, we were both active addicts, so when one was home with Corey, the other was more than likely in jail. When he was removed from the home by the child protective investigator, they refused to let me give him a hug or to say goodbye to him, and he was placed in foster care.
The Adoption and Safe Families Act was a response to a phenomenon that we call foster care drift, which is children spending very long periods of time in foster care without any clear plan to get to a permanent family.
In the past 10 years, the number of children in foster care homes nationwide has increased 60%.
The Adoption and Safe Families Act has had a very dramatic and disproportionate impact on children of incarcerated parents.
I thought I was a good mother. I took care of them. I made sure they were clean and fed. Hurricane Floyd come through in 1999.
We have trees down and power out over a wide area of North Carolina.
We went and stayed at a shelter for about 3 days. Then that Red Cross put us up in a hotel. We stayed there for a month and a half with 4 children in one room. It was terrible. I was working, but my little job didn't pay a whole lot. I started writing bad checks on my account to put gas in the car, to get food, to get back and forth to work.
I guess she went into survival mode. And as a parent now, I understand where she was coming from. But back then I didn't know.
I wrote a lot of checks, like 75 or more.
I was scared. I didn't want them to take my mom. That's the only person I knew. So all I could do was hug her because I knew it was over. I knew this was it.
The clock starts ticking the moment that you are separated from your child and your child is placed in foster care. And the clock doesn't care if you're guilty or innocent. 15 months in many states is kind of the outer limit. So some states have deadlines of 6 months.
December 4th, 2004 was the termination of parental rights trial, and I'm sitting in handcuffs in Orange. They offered me an opportunity to voluntarily consent to giving my rights away. I refused to sign. I hadn't received a case plan. I hadn't had an opportunity to visit him while I was incarcerated. It was less than a year for removal, and the judge ultimately ordered that they would be, that very day, terminating my rights to my child. Mentally, I was totally lost.
If parents are incarcerated, obviously they can't take care of their children. When you take kids and say, okay, your parents went to jail, so now you're going to spend your childhood visiting jails a whole lot. You live in foster care. You get to hope your parent comes out. You hope your parent doesn't go back in prison. You know, that's a way just to wreck the next generation.
The lawyer that was court appointed, I never saw his face. I talked to him on telephone. He told me that your kids' fathers are signing their rights over and they're going to take yours. It's my children I gave birth to. I'm incarcerated. I have no say-so. He said pretty much not.
I strongly feel like my mother should have been in court for her to be present during that adoption hearing. She was in jail. It's not like she just ran off. She was locked up.
I felt the lowest I've ever felt in my life. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. I lost everything that made me who I was. I lived for my children.
It's easy to romanticize the birth connection, but if you look at children in adoptive homes, they do best if they're removed in infancy from problematic biological parents. The problem is the world is all too ready to just think about what's fair to the parents, not think about what's fair to the kids.
I was about 16 years old when my mom got out.
Ashley's father at the time sent her back to me, even though my rights had been taken.
Our bond was still the same, but I just knew I wanted my siblings. They were 3, 4, and 5 when they were took. That was the last time I had seen them.
You find out that you're adopted after so many years. Not much really does go through your head except like sadness, I guess. And wondering, well, who's my mom? What do I look like?
You gonna talk to Aunt Holly? She calling you?
As we grew up, we were trying to figure out, well, who is our real family? I looked on Facebook and I eventually found her.
Ashley come out of her room screaming one afternoon, "Mama, Mama, I think Christina has found us." And I was like, "Really? Are you serious?" I said, "But Ashley, we can't talk to her." "Why?" I said, "Well, I guess I think you can."
All I heard on the phone from her was that she was so sorry that this happened and that she missed us and she was so proud of us and just how much she loved us.
It was like I had life in me again. The breath had been put back in my body.
I feel like we were better off going on our ways that we did to be successful in life. I kind of wish she wouldn't have gotten her rights terminated. She did write bad checks, and I understand what she did was not right. But to not grow up with your birth mom is kind of hard. You just never got to experience like the mother and daughter feeling.
I decided to get clean and sober in June 2007. When Corbin was born, immediately I overcompensated. Corbin does know of him in the sense of that's a brother, an older brother, but he doesn't really understand why we're not connected with Corey. You started, and then
At least he wasn't, what does that word mean?
drab.
What does that mean?
Like down, maybe a little sad. I saw through social media that he is doing well. I still hold out hope that I will see Corey again, if not at 18, shortly thereafter, or at least before I leave this world. You ready? trauma of losing my child is prolonged, right? It'll always be there. And it really happens hard for me around his birthday. Dear son, when you read this, please accept my apology and know that I've loved you from the start, and that will never be lost. Happy 7th birthday, baby boy.